Welcome to Grade 11 Artificial Intelligence. Artificial intelligence now helps decide who gets a loan, a job, or a place at university. That power raises a serious question. How do we make sure these systems are fair, safe, and accountable? In this module, we look at the ethics of AI and the governance frameworks the world is building to guide it. Here is our plan for the module. We'll see why AI needs ethics, not only accuracy. We'll learn the core principles of responsible AI and the global frameworks built around them. We'll meet risk tiers and impact assessments, see how a bias audit tests a system for fairness, and weigh regulation against innovation, ending with Rwanda's own approach. Let's start with why AI needs ethics at all. Artificial intelligence now makes or strongly shapes decisions about people's lives, from loans to jobs to medical care. It learns from data, and that data carries human bias, so a model can quietly inherit old unfairness. And because software scales, a single bad decision can be repeated for millions of people in an instant. Here is the key insight. A model can be accurate on average and still treat one group far worse than another. Accuracy is not the same as fairness. So we need principles to hold AI to a higher standard. Across the world, the major frameworks agree on the same handful of principles. Fairness. The system should not discriminate against groups of people. Transparency. We should be able to explain how a decision was made, not hide behind a black box. Accountability. A human or an organization must remain responsible for what the system does. Privacy. People's personal data must be protected and used only with care. And safety. The system must be robust and reliable and not cause harm when it meets the unexpected. These 5 values are the heart of responsible AI. Now let's see how the world turns them into shared frameworks. Several bodies have built frameworks, all aiming at the same goal: trustworthy AI. In 2021, UNESCO adopted the recommendation on the ethics of artificial intelligence, the first global standard agreed by all its member states. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development set out its AI principles in 2019, the values that the G20 nations later adopted too. The European Union's AI Act, passed in 2024, is the first broad binding law on AI. And the United States National Institute of Standards and Technology published its AI Risk Management Framework, a practical guide to govern and manage AI risk. Notice that the European law sorts systems by risk, so let's look at how that works. The European law rests on one elegant idea: regulate a system in proportion to the risk it poses. Picture a pyramid. At the broad base sits minimal risk artificial intelligence, such as spam filters and the AI in video games. This is largely left unregulated. Above it, limited risk systems, like chatbots, carry transparency duties, so a user must be told they are dealing with a machine. Higher still, high-risk systems, those used in hiring, in credit decisions, or as medical devices, must pass strict checks and an impact assessment before they are deployed. An impact assessment asks in advance who could be harmed and how we will prevent it. And at the narrow top sit unacceptable uses, such as social scoring of citizens. These are banned outright. The higher the risk, the heavier the obligation. But how do we actually check a system for unfairness? A bias audit is how we test a system for fairness with evidence. We take the model's results and split them by group, by gender, by age, by region, or by language. Then we compare the error rates across those groups, not just the overall accuracy. Here is why that matters. A model can be 90% accurate overall, yet make twice as many mistakes for one group as another. Equal accuracy on average can hide very unequal harm. An impact assessment goes a step further, asking before deployment who could be affected and planning the fix in advance. Of course, all this checking raises attention. How much should we regulate? There is a real tension between regulating AI and letting it innovate, and good policy has to balance the two. On the regulation side, clear rules protect people from harm, build public trust, and make companies accountable. But too much regulation or rules that are unclear can slow down genuinely useful progress. On the innovation side, freedom lets new tools and services arrive quickly, creating jobs and growth. Yet too little oversight invites exactly the harms we just discussed. The aim is not to choose one over the other. It is smart regulation, rules clear and fair enough that responsible innovation can thrive. Rwanda offers a thoughtful example of striking that balance. Rwanda has taken a clear and forward-looking stance. Its national AI policy, published in 2023, sets out to use AI for national development, while insisting it be used responsibly and ethically. Alongside it, the law numbered 58 of 2021 protects personal data and privacy. Under that law, people have rights over how their data is collected and used, and organizations must handle it with care. Rwanda's approach aligns with the UNESCO recommendation and the global principles, showing that a country can welcome AI and protect its citizens at the same time. Let's see how these ideas look around the world. These principles are already shaping real systems. In Rwanda, the data protection law guards the personal data held by digital services such as Irembo. In the European Union, a company selling an AI hiring tool must treat it as high risk and pass an impact assessment first. In the United Kingdom, regulators audit the AI used in public services to check it is fair, and in the United States, government agencies follow the NIST framework to govern and manage their AI risk. Different laws, the same shared principles underneath. Before we recap, let's clear up some common misconceptions. First, that AI is neutral. It learns from data, and biased data makes biased AI. Second, that high accuracy means a system is fair. We must check the error rate for each group, not just the average. Third, that ethics is merely opinion. The frameworks turn it into concrete, testable requirements. And fourth, that rules always block innovation. Clear, fair rules build the trust that lets good AI spread. Keep these four cautions in mind and your thinking stays sharp. Let's gather the key ideas. AI needs ethics because accuracy is not the same as fairness. The core principles are fairness, transparency, accountability, privacy, and safety. The global frameworks include UNESCO, the OECD, the European Union's AI Act, and the NIST framework. Risk tiers mean that more risk brings more rules and an impact assessment. A bias audit checks the error rates across different groups. And the goal is to balance regulation and innovation as Rwanda aims to do. Now let's check your understanding with 3 quick questions. Here is the first question. An AI loan system is 90% accurate overall, but it rejects far more qualified women than men. The accuracy looks fine, so what principle is being violated? Overall accuracy hides the unequal treatment. The principle being violated is fairness, because the system discriminates between groups. Question 2. Under the European Union's AI Act, an AI used to screen job applicants falls into which risk tier, and what does that require? Hiring decisions affect people's lives, so the Act treats them as high risk. That tier requires strict checks and an impact assessment before the system is deployed. Last question, and it brings our ideas together. A team wants to prove their facial recognition model is fair before release. What process should they run and what should they compare? They should run a bias audit. It splits the results by group and compares the error rates, revealing the unequal harm that overall accuracy would hide. Wonderful work. You can now reason about AI ethics, the core principles, the global frameworks, risk tiers and impact assessments, bias audits, and the balance between regulation and innovation. You can judge a system by more than its accuracy and ask whether it is fair, transparent, and accountable. In the next module, we turn to how new AI knowledge is created and explore AI research methodologies. I'll see you there.